For more on this story, we're joined from London by former Afghan Minister of Interior Affairs, Mohammed Omar Daudzai. Mohammed, first of all, thank you for joining us. Reports of more than 800 feared dead. Entire villages, from what we're seeing, have been destroyed. But what's the latest that you're hearing on the ground in terms of the rescue and relief operation?
Well, yes, it's a major disaster that people of Afghanistan have faced it. People are already in trouble with poverty, with prolonged war, and countries isolated. And this particular region that's hit by earthquake is the most isolated within the country. It's very hard to reach area. Kunar province and the three other provinces and areas around it, this has always been difficult to access area. So in terms of rescue and relief, there's been difficulties, but the villages around, the affected villages, people have rushed to the help of others. They have extracted people from rubbles, and they have cooked meal and have taken the meal to ready-made to meal to the affectees.
Let's talk about the access challenges, Mohammed, for a moment. The quake has struck a very remote area. We are hearing now that landslides have cut off routes as well. This is making it a lot harder for aid agencies to get help to those who need it most, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is true. It's landslide and it's rock slides. And that has caused most of the devastation because those villages are on mountainsides, on hillsides, in the rocks that are falling from above. That has caused most of the destruction, and they have blocked the access road. But there are many villages or a lot of that area that doesn't have a road access. It's people go to those villages on the back of animals or walk. So under normal circumstances, that area is very difficult to access. And now after the earthquake, it has become very difficult. And as you know, the country is not in a situation to provide helicopters and doesn't have good relationship with neighboring countries so that they could rush to their help.
We haven't seen a natural disaster of this magnitude under the Taliban administration just yet. So how well equipped are the Taliban to handle a disaster of this scale? Are international groups able to operate freely right now to get to people who need it most?
They are certainly not equipped. They have the issue of management. They have the question of capacity and finances and the wrong policies for this, because they have made it difficult for NGOs, even for the United Nations, to operate their relief projects. So it's under difficult circumstances. I hope this incidents change their behavior and allow NGOs in UN to operate and provide the rescue and relief to the affectees.
We mentioned about the difficulties in getting to these areas. We're hearing stories of families trapped under rubble, Mohammed, and villages that have been all but wiped out. What does this mean for the already vulnerable Afghan communities who've been affected?
You know, in those villages, houses are made of mud and wood, and they're usually single story, double, or maximum 3 stories. And those on the lower story, they are on the rubbles, on the woods, and on the mat that's on the top of them. The villagers are trying to rescue them with the little equipment they have, which is not enough. And I also saw pictures and reports locally that families that are entirely killed or one survived out of 10 or 12 family members. And they have difficulty to bury those deaths. And the injuries are also very difficult to take to hospital because the closest proper hospital is in Jalalabad city, which is 100 miles away from Kunar. And only helicopters can get those injuries quick enough. And I think only 2 helicopters are available from Taliban because they don't have the necessary assets.
We're hearing about aftershocks as well, which are continuing to take place. And you mentioned briefly the hospitals there as well, Mohammed. Are they already stretched to breaking point? And would more aftershocks with catastrophic effects potentially cause a cascade down towards the healthcare service currently in operation in Afghanistan?
Yes, I heard that there was a 5-degree aftershock that also caused rock slides and that scared away the rescue workers and made difficult the access. And the hospitals in the Kunar capital, the capital of Kunar, and also in Jalalabad, they don't have the capacity to entertain 2,000 or 2,500 injured. So there has to be makeshift hospitals provided by aid community.
Are you concerned that the West may, in somewhat, turn a blind eye to the fact that this is happening in Afghanistan under Taliban administration? Because the West very quickly runs to the aid of many countries when they face a natural disaster. Are you hopeful that the same will happen for this?
I think many countries, or most countries in the region, have offered assistance, and the West would also offer assistance in the long run. But the immediate one has to come from the neighboring countries and countries in the region. And they have all offered their assistance. But I hope the Taliban change their policies, let the international NGOs to operate freely, let the Afghan NGOs to also operate freely so that the aid can get to the needy people. And let me mention to you that the worst affectees are women and children, which are already affected by bad policies of Taliban. And now in the middle of the night in the earthquake, some of the men jumped out and they left the women and children behind. And they are all on the rubble. So the survivors I saw were men. And he was saying, my wife and all my children are dead. There are many examples of that. So, and Taliban's policies are always against women. So they will have to change so that the aid community come and help under this one, and also to prepare for future. Afghanistan is a disaster-prone zone. There are floods, there are earthquakes. You said this is the biggest. Yes, this is the biggest, but this is the third earthquake that has caused damage within this year in 2025. So the country is a disaster-prone, but Taliban doesn't have the right policy, doesn't have the right capacity, and those who were trained in the 20 years under the Republic, they dismissed them and they all left the country. So basically people without experience, management experience, technical experience, they're all in charge.
Mohammed Omar Daudzai, the former Afghan Minister of Interior Affairs in London, thank you so much for joining us.